just got some edibles. You wanna try them?
Shit, alright, let's do it.
Here, take half of this.
Hi, and welcome back to Cannabis Infused Motherhood. Today we're going to talk about what to do when you get too high. The reason that I'm recording this video is because I had an experience the other evening that was kind of unsettling, and I know it can happen sometimes when you kind of push beyond your comfort zone when you're consuming cannabis. So I want to just kind of go over what I did to kind of get over that anxious feeling and just kind of talk through some of the things that you could try if you ever find yourself in a position where you are way too freaking high and you just kind of want it to stop or go away, or at least get to a better state of mind so that you can enjoy the experience rather than being in a state of like panic and, you know, having an anxiety attack, your heart pounding, all those things. So the other day I decided to make some edibles. So I had some canna butter, so I made some cannabis cookies. And the weed that I used to make my canna butter was gifted to me from a friend, and it was his aunt that grew it, so I didn't know much about the strain or the THC content, or really didn't know much about the plant material that I was putting into my butter. I apologize if you can hear screaming upstairs. My sister is up there with my kiddos, just to give me some respite, so that I can get some of my work done, because it's been a long time since I've recorded. Anyways, so I just want to apologize if you do hear any screaming. I have two children who are both severely autistic, nonverbal, so that's how they communicate sometimes, so don't worry about it. So yeah, like I said, the other night I made some cookies, and normally I like to start slow and just kind of like, you know, test the waters a little bit before I consume too much, because I do have anxiety, and sometimes cannabis can amplify that anxiety if I'm not going into it in a proper mindset, or I don't know, it just kind of amplifies whatever's going on beneath the surface. So I ate one whole cookie, and then the cookie was really good, and I wanted some more, so I ate another half of a cookie. So I ate a total of a cookie and a half. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't eat a whole second one, because once the high kicked in, it was very, very intense. So everything was fine up until the point where the high finally kicked in. And when you're eating edibles, it takes sometimes up to an hour and a half, 2 hours for the cannabis to kick in and for the high to kick in, things like that. So me and my husband were just laying in bed. The kids were already in bed. And we were just laying there watching TV, and then all of a sudden it was like I was completely sober, and then the shift just came on really fast, and then I was really, really, really high. My heart started pounding. I could barely breathe. It was very, very unsettling. And this hasn't happened to me very often since I started using cannabis in a more intentional way. But I guess I just took more than I was comfortable with at one time. And then when the shift happened, it just came on really fast. And I like to describe it as like, I don't know, it shifts your vibration, it shifts your perception, and when that shift comes on really fast, it can kind of trigger some kind of anxiety and anxiousness. And about 10 months ago, I was in a pretty bad car accident. Car flipped upside down, big thing. I've been diagnosed with PTSD due to the accident, things like that. So due to that, my body is always in kind of like a fight or flight mode, and I think when the high came on a little bit too strong, my body was like, oh my God, there's danger. Like, we got to do something about it. So that's why my heart was racing. And I had a hard time coming down, and I could just feel like energy is pulsing through my body. So it was a very, very, very unsettling experience. So yeah, like I said, when that high kicked in, my body shifted, my heart rate increased, and then it kind of shifts your mind at the same time as well. So like I said, the change was way too sudden for me to handle, sorry. So I just sat there for a bit and just kind of like observed, like, okay, so my heart's pounding. I'm having, anxiety symptoms. Um, and I just kind of forced myself to become aware, like, okay, like I'm feeling like this because I shifted too fast. And then I started taking just like deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth and just kind of focusing on my breathing, trying to kind of ground that intense energy that was kind of pulsing through me at that moment. And I just want to say cannabis is relatively safe and effective for a lot of different things. It's good for treating both mental health symptoms, it's good for PTSD, it's good for anxiety, it's good for different pain and physical issues. But sometimes, like I said, that high experience can really be too much at one time. So always start slow, don't go, especially if you haven't built up a tolerance at all, start super slow, especially with edibles. Wait till it kicks in before you eat another half a cookie, or you might end up having a bit of a panic attack. Anyways, so anyways, if you do end up having an experience like that where you're having like anxiety and you're paranoid and you're freaking out and it almost feels like, if you've ever had an anxiety attack, it feels exactly like that. So yeah, so that's why I wanted to come on today and just kind of share with you what I did, and different tools and tricks that other people like to use to kind of bring yourself back down to like a more tolerable level. Da, 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 da. So, sorry about that. I jotted down some notes just so I make sure I, get everything out there that I want to. So, what I did is I kind of just found myself wanting to like turn off the TV, dim the lights, make sure it was a nice relaxing setting. And I laid myself down on my back and I just kind of had my hands on my chest and I closed my eyes and I just laid there for a bit and I focused really, really, really hard on breathing. And like I said, I would breathe in through my nose and out through the mouth, and throughout that whole time I was breathing, I was kind of trying to ground those energies. So grounding is a very, very, very important tool, and I've talked about it before. I'll probably talk about it many more times. So I like to think of the high from cannabis as like an energy. It shifts your body, your mind, your heart rate, your everything, your autonomic nervous system, basically. So what I did was intentionally ground those energies, because at that time when I was having that anxiety, my body was almost like trembling and I could just feel like energy coursing through my body. So I laid there and I breathed intentionally and I just kind of sent all the extra energy out through the bottom of my feet and imagined it kind of like going into the earth. And I did that for about, I don't know, maybe 15-20 minutes. And yeah, I just kept grounding and grounding that energy, and every time I would feel like that little pulse, I would like send it to the earth. So yeah, when you get to a more relaxed state after breathing, just kind of imagine that energy leaving your body. Just kind of, will it to leave. And it really, really helped me in that moment. So after visualizing all the excess energy leaving my body, and kind of during that time too, because when your heart's racing, your brain's like, oh my God, there's something wrong, you got to keep interrupting those scary thoughts. So, and just repeat to yourself, like, I'm okay. I just took too much for myself at one time. So, and then just visualize it leaving your body. And honestly, this works for me every single time. So just focusing on my breath and kind of getting to a grounded place. It also really helps if you have someone to talk to, because my husband was like just there, and I told him I'm having a bit of an anxiety thing going on. I'm way too high right now. So he just kind of like was like calmly telling, like, you're okay, it's not a big deal. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, I would just kind of like let someone know that you are having a hard time at that moment, and just have them like tell you and repeat to you that you are okay. And if you don't have anyone with you, you can do this to yourself. So you just got to keep interrupting those thoughts and keep reminding yourself that you are okay. I am most likely going to be recording a guided relaxation or meditation for exactly this purpose, because I just feel called to kind of just help those who might run into the same situation I did, just to have kind of this guided meditation, maybe some soft music, and just me kind of coaxing you through it and allowing you to visualize letting the energy leave your body. So like I said, it took me I'm going to say about 15 minutes. It's kind of hard to know the exact amount of time, but I'd say about 15 minutes it took for me to finally get into this nice, like, relaxed mind space. It calmed my heart rate. I felt back in control. So after that, because I had pushed so far beyond my comfort zone with consuming cannabis, I had an almost psychedelic experience. It was very, very intense and vivid. And I feel like during that time, after I had grounded that energy, I was having just these fantastic visualizations, and I really can't describe or put it into words what I experienced, because it was kind of an experience where my visualizations were very vivid. I kind of went on like an inner journey after I had calmed down. So it's kind of nice that it happened at the same time after I had calmed myself down. Um, so yeah, it was a very interesting experience for me, and that is why I'm here talking to you about it today. So yeah, the breathing exercise and just visualizing those energies, kind of grounding, led me to this very mind expanding, consciousness shifting experience, and it provided me with a lot of insight into my triggers, into my mental health, and kind of how to take back control during an experience like that, because I do experience anxiety and PTSD symptoms and things like that outside of my cannabis use, so in my day-to-day life, whether I'm using cannabis or not. And it really helped me to learn kind of how to breathe through those experiences. And it was very healing, and it was very significant to me. So yeah, so I went from literally like heart racing, like that fight or flight response, like, oh my God, there's danger, you're gonna die, things like that running through my head. And I was able to, just with my breath and just kind of visualizing that excess energy leaving my body, was able to bring myself into a much more calm, but also super duper elevated state, because I was still really freaking high. But it wasn't scary anymore. It was more profound and healing. So yeah, I think if you get to that point, you can kind of shift that really intense energy into something beneficial for you. Da, 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 da. So I'm also going to go over a couple other tips I found when you are at that point and you're too high, and maybe that breathing exercise doesn't work for you, and that visualization doesn't work for you. There are other things that you could try. If you have CBD on hand, I actually have CBD isolate. It's like little crystals. So if you have any of that, or even a CBD oil, etc. on hand, take some CBD, because it is known to counteract the effects of THC, especially when you get to that point where you're just way too elevated. Another thing that you could try is smelling peppercorns. And peppercorns, or pepper, has the terpene beta caryophyllene. I don't know if I said that correctly. Pardon me if I did not. So that terpene is said to bind to the same receptors and combat anxiety that is sometimes induced by too much THC. Another terpene trick that you could try is limonene. Which you can find in lemon or lemon juice. So if you have that on hand, you can add some sugar to it and just chug down some lemon juice. Personally, I wouldn't enjoy that very much, but if you're stuck and you got some on hand, that's another thing you could do. Another thing, eating. Eating really helps to sober you up. So have a nice, like, nutrient dense snack. So something like yogurt or some soup, something like that. Just try and eat something, it should help you, and drinking lots of water. So hydration is very important as well. But yeah, that's just a couple things I wanted to pass on. Either way, just remember, if you ever find yourself in that state, that you are going to be okay. Everything is perfectly fine. Nobody's ever died from taking too much cannabis. It's just kind of unsettling and kind of scary in the moment. So just remind yourself over and over again that everything is going to be okay. And I will record a nice guided meditation or visualization or something along those lines. I still have to plan that out. But I will be posting that as well, so that if you do find yourself kind of stuck in the middle of it, that you will have something to kind of bring you back to center and allow you to kind of move past those anxious, terrifying feelings that sometimes happen when you smoke or consume too much cannabis, so that you can get to the other side and actually enjoy being that high, because it can be very profound and healing. So I hope you enjoyed this little episode. Please subscribe. I'm all about cannabis, spirituality, and healing. Yeah, I'm all about cannabis, spirituality, and healing. And I feel kind of like there's going to be a shift coming in my channel, because I've posted a lot of tutorial videos, like how to make canna butter, things like that. And I just want to post more things that kind of resonate with more a complete version of who I am as not only an autism mom of 2 kids on the spectrum, but also just different mindset techniques and different energy healing works that I have been diving into lately that have really helped me heal from physical and mental emotional traumas. And yeah, it's just kind of gonna transform in the next little while. So I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you decide to stick around. Yeah, but anyways, I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.